Okay, let's look at modeling here. This thing breaks down into sections, kind of like this. Let's call this 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one was this one here. Okay, how did I model number 1? Picture and the gesture. Okay, we really had two things. I had a gesture, which I started with, and then I brought in a picture. And eventually, I also did, let's call it tape to teacher. Okay? And I'm going to use some shorthand that you need to get used to. Tape to teacher. I'm going to represent like that. So that kind of takes care of number 1 there. Number 2. How do we model number 2? Again, we've got a picture, don't we? And once again, in this situation, it's highly predictable that this is going to be something like, how are you? Or how do you feel? While it is true that in some languages we say different things. For example, what do they say in Chinese? No, I don't want the Chinese, Emily. I want the English.
Good question.
You good question. Okay. I was thinking of the one that I don't know Chinese, where they say, have you had rice lately?
That's not much used anymore.
Maybe it's not much used anymore. But the point is not that it's radically different in Chinese than it is in English or in Setswana. The point is, have you had rice lately simply means, how are you? Lest you think that English is any less clear, how about this one? How's it going? What's it and where is it going? So it doesn't have anything to do with the words, does it? It has to do with the context in which it's used. So it doesn't matter if this means anything exactly to you. It's simply that it is used in that context, and it means, how are you? Words don't translate one-to-one. If they did, we'd all have these little pocket computers that we could plug into our ears, and the Japanese would, of course, love this thing because they hate learning languages. They'd pay you a lot of money for it, at the very least. But they don't exist. Okay? And it's highly unlikely they're going to exist anytime in the near future, because you can't go word for word from one language to another language. Even languages which appear to be very close, they have radical differences in meaning. You end up with trees where if you take the word in this language and the word in this language, you can find a meaning that's the same, but at the end of the trees you can find two words that mean radically different things. Okay? This here was modeled with a picture. What else did I do to model? Utsuhili Jan, Kitsuhili Sintle. Tape to teacher, thank you. Tape to teacher. And I also did teacher to teacher. Thank you. Teacher to teacher. And please notice with my card, with my picture card. Tape to teacher, teacher to teacher. Where does it go from there? Tape to teacher, teacher to teacher to? Okay, it goes teacher, student, student, teacher, is this modeling or practice? Thank you. That's the point. It's both. If you were getting it, then it becomes practice, doesn't it? If you are having trouble getting it, hopefully you were listening to the other people and helping to refine, reinforce your own. So this step here is, in a way, kind of a transition step. It is important that you do it and that you do it in a fashion. I want to point something out here because I'll come back to it a number of times. Okay? Notice how this works. I go up to somebody and I say, Utsuhili Jan. Do you notice my body language? Okay? The difference between this and this. Not the same, is it? Why would this be better? It's not confrontational. That's one thing. What else? I got my picture here, and so this person can look at my picture. They don't have to look at me. That also helps to bring the confrontation factor and the affective factor down. Okay? What else can I do from this position that I can't do from this position? Two things. In this position, number one, I don't have any idea what these people are doing. Okay? From this position, I can keep attention of more of their class. And what else can I do? If Matt's having trouble answering, I can invite others to help. Okay? 45 degrees sideways to your student. Dance steps. Dance steps to get used to. And of course, here's the other thing. Kind of a final point. I'm like this. Matt can't get it. I can't get anybody else to help because it's hard to do this behind my back. At this point, if we stop, I fail, you fail. At this point, if Matt doesn't get it, I can slide off and do a teacher-teacher again and not go back to Matt. Give him a break after all. Or I can simply slide on without, in effect, making quite such a big deal out of it. Body language, dances. Okay? Uwena, how do we model that? Yeah, there was a gesture there. I'd like to see the tape of this. I got to watch the tape these guys make because I forgot if I actually made the gesture or not. I hope I did, but I wasn't conscious of it at the time. I usually try to be very, uwena. So if I didn't, that's what I should have done. And of course, again, we have teacher-to-teacher model. Actually, a taped teacher, and then a teacher-to-teacher model. And teacher-student, student-teacher, student-to-student. Okay, now we get down here to Otsuakai. How do I model Otsuakai? Picture? So notice that I've got to go back and reset context here. Okay, we have to be at a place where it's logical to ask somebody, where are you going? Okay? And I have to make the difference between where are you going and where have you been or where are you from. And how did I do it? Make the key thing that she's actually getting on the bus. Okay? Now, if I didn't have a language like English I could have used, I might have had to done a little bit more gesturing, miming, or something to try to indicate getting on. Maybe I could have used my chair again, to indicate getting on, modeling. Do you understand the importance here? Because otherwise the student may know go, but doesn't understand whether it's coming, going, been. But there's only one logical thing if you're getting on the bus, is there? It's where you're going. There's really nothing else left that could be said. You could be saying, how's your potato? But I don't think so. Okay? So we've got here, we've got a picture. We've got, I don't know how to tell the other one. We've got all the stuff we had up there. How about number 5? What have I got to get across here? What's the important thing about the meaning there that I've got to get across?
One's on the bus and one's on the road.
Yep, and so how'd I do it? Charade? I've forgotten to mention it here. Don't forget up here with going, I had the map too. And I haven't. That's an innovation that I just did today. because somebody took the other map, a very poorly drawn one that I had used before, and I found a real map, and I actually walked around and I tried to indicate we're in Gaborone. And I said the place names, Serowe and Maon. And while you didn't get it perfectly, you clearly had better pronunciation than I've gotten before when I didn't model those place names. I hadn't modeled them before, and so normally I was getting people having a lot of trouble saying Serowe and Maon and Gaborone. So the map and teacher models.
I have a question about gestures.
About?
Gestures.
Yes.
Do you fill kind of the silence while you're motioning? Do you fill that by saying things in English?
Preferably not.
Preferably not.
I'd say most of the time, try to make your gestures clear and stand alone. There are times, however, when I think that it would be good to have them understand by putting the language with it. But I don't know, I guess it depends, Matt. Depends upon what I'm trying to do. Yeah, it depends. I think there are times when the language is good, you know, and it's total physical response, you know, get up, sit down, you know, anything like that. Go right, go left, go straight ahead. Then you would want the words with the gestures. Yeah.